Welcome to Unapologetically Yours, a podcast where we go deep on everything from spirituality to relationships and connection to business and belief systems. Because in a world where we've been taught to play by the rules, it's time to live unapologetically. Hello, welcome to the latest episode of the Unapologetically Yours podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Logan, and I'm so happy to have you here today. So I am a mother, entrepreneur, CEO. I facilitate workshops and events for women. I'm a constant student of life. I am a spiritual wayfinder, and I wear a million hats in my life. And I started this podcast because really I just couldn't help myself. Starting anything new can be really, really scary. And I understand why someone who has a dream might hesitate to get started. And I want to talk a little bit today about what it means to start something new and what it means to be completely imperfect in an endeavor, and how important it is to just not hold yourself back. So ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to be a writer. So I think my first story I wrote was called Crystal Met the Ogre. Actually, there's all sorts of funny parallels about this and being a girl against the big scary guy, which feels to me like a euphemism for the patriarchy. I am pro all people. So in any event, I spent most of my life creating, from writing, making art, singing, making music. I was not a traditional student, not by any sense of the word. And what I learned in adulthood was that because I have ADD and wasn't a traditional learner, but the school system didn't really recognize that in me because I wasn't a hyperactive boy with behavior issues. And that was really how they classified ADHD, especially in the 90s and early 2000s. By the way, I came of age in the late 1900s. Sounds pretty wild when you say it like that. So, in any event, one of the dreams that I've always had is being on stage and storytelling and writing books. And I was so inspired by Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City, and just having a column and sharing thoughts and ideas and helping to inspire people to be, just their full selves. And that's been a common thread through my whole entire life. In college, I had a column in the school paper, and it was one of the favorite things that I've ever done and worked on. So fast forward to entrepreneurship, and I got really sort of paralyzed by the expectations that people had of me from all of the different roles that I played, from wife, mother, boss. And I found myself silencing my voice quite a lot, and silencing my art, silencing the unique things that make me me. And so part of my sort of healing journey has been reconnecting with my creativity. And that was something that kind of fell by the wayside, particularly in the early stages of motherhood and marriage. And because there wasn't space for it, and I didn't know how to advocate for it, and I didn't know how to articulate what an important part of who I am all of that personal expression is. So I had this dream of starting a podcast. So I did it, and started off with, this is our 20th episode. And what was so kind of cool about it is that I couldn't hold it in any longer. So by the time I started, I had no fear about it. But I did have a lot to learn, from how to conduct a more interesting interview, how to prepare, how to articulate clearly, how to light the studio so that it doesn't make me look like I have no eyebrows. And all of those things are a work in progress. And I think that for those some feedback that I get in my circle, because I wear so many hats, is how do you do it all? How do you manage it all? Well, the truth is, it's because I can't not. And so, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't come without, that element of self-awareness, self-consciousness. Releasing something into the wild takes a lot of courage, and especially, in a world where we are so quick to judge, we are so quick to cancel people. I had to really do a lot of work to set all of that aside and to just start. But I'll tell you this, that just starting is the best feeling ever, because you learn, and to start with a beginner's mindset is okay. And so I'm excited to say that this is the final episode of the first season of Unapologetically Yours. And so, learned a lot along the way, as I mentioned. And as we're prepping for season 2, what I'm excited about bringing to the table is, I noticed that many of my guests, all of my guests, are female. So integrating more of the masculine perspective into the podcast, adding more clarity around the outcomes and intentions and key takeaways from each guest and each episode, so you can find what you're looking for, updating different graphics, sharing more on social media, and lining up a host of guests that are so impactful. And that was a thread of the first episode, was that I brought in so many people who had made a huge difference in my life. People like Meg Sylvester, who really was the one who helped me find words to my spiritual journey. She's the one who introduced me to sound healing, to breath work, reconnected me to my creative voice through gateless writing, and is one of my longest, dearest friends. She and I went to college together, and she probably picked up a copy of the Daily Beacon newspaper when we were in college and read my column. And our paths were destined to cross again 20 years later. Other people who joined shared information about living life alcohol free, had some incredible entrepreneurs on there like Mary Nisi, who is founder and CEO of the largest woman-owned DJ company in the country, and a massive Swiftie like moi. And then from, oh my gosh, so many people who joined and who have made such an impact on my life. And so I want to continue that trend. And I also want to continue to think about bringing in people who offer a unique perspective to help get your brains working and giving you permission to think outside the box and live a life that you design, because that agency is one of the most important things that we can have over our lives. Is not playing by someone else's rules, but playing by our own set of values, listening to our own inner voice. And so this podcast holds me to that standard. And so today I'm also wearing my new sneaks. I got served about 1,000 Instagram ads for sneaks. For those of you who don't know, they are the new comfy high heel shoe line by Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, who was one of my idols, not just for what she built in Spanx, but also how she shows up in the world, how she supports women-owned businesses. So I'm setting the intention that at some point I would love to have Sarah Blakely on this podcast, and I'm going to keep dreaming big, because that's what life is all about. And I'm looking forward to the future. I'm looking forward to sharing all of this with you. And one of the things I want to remind you and think about is how much it takes to be a creator. And so when you're scrolling through Instagram and you see a really badass reel that someone put together, that took so much time, planning, thought, execution. And that's a piece of someone's heart. It's a piece of their soul. It's their voice. And to recognize that how much human is behind the content that is shared in the world is another way to just continue to connect to society. So instead of I know that social media has so many hard edges to it. It is one of the doom scroll, and especially this day and age, we are inundated with messaging. But when we take a step back and remind ourselves that like, this is a human, this is a real person who took time to make this, share it, create it, that actually kind of changes the game. So I have so much mad respect for those who are out there storytelling, putting themselves out there, showing up consistently, because it's scary. And I'm learning that too. But I'm excited to keep going. We're going to take a break until January, and then we'll come back with all sorts of new guests, weekly episodes, many solo episodes. I'm really, really, really excited about going a little bit deeper about what's going on in my life, from the journey of entrepreneurship to being a single mom to relationships and connection, all of the things that are happening behind the scenes, and look forward to going deep. And if there is anything or anyone that you're interested in hearing about, I would love to hear from you. So feel free to comment on social, send me a DM, message, etc. We're going to be big in 2025, and by big I mean thinking outside the box. I mean inviting people who might be completely out of my league to join, and to make sure to deliver the thoughtful content that hopefully you've come to expect, and have a variety of different episode lengths, and on and on and on. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being on this journey with me. It's from the bottom of my heart. It's not easy to put yourself out there, but I feel the support of the universe. I feel the support of the people who are listening, and I'm grateful and excited to share more in the next season. So look forward to seeing you next year, and until then, I'm unapologetically yours. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go out, make some mischief in the world. And until then, I'm Ashley, and I'm unapologetically yours.